Welcome in, everybody. It's Thanksgiving Eve, and we say a happy early Thanksgiving to each and every one of you out there in Warchant TV land. Alongside Michael Langston, he is the senior recruiting analyst for us at warchant.com. My name is Tom Lang, and we've got about a 25, 30-minute version of the recruiting chat today before everybody gets on the road. You know how it goes, Michael. You get to lunchtime Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Productivity goes out the window. We want to kill your productivity just a little earlier today on Warchant TV. So thank you to everybody who's stopping in right now. If you don't mind throwing us a like and subscribe to the channel, Warchant TV underneath. It is absolutely free. Well, in case you've been living under a rock, Monday evening, in fact, Florida State got some really good news. The flip of a quarterback prospect, 4-star Brock Glenn, who said, all right, Ohio State, I'm going to take it on down to Tallahassee. And since he did that, Florida State now in the On3 recruiting ranking sits at 15th. That is the consensus ranking for Florida State, 15th in the country and trending upwards. We've got a lot of content about that particular flip. Most notably, Michael, on the front page of warchant.com right now, an in-depth question and answer session that you had with Florida State's new bell cow quarterback of the 2023 recruiting class. Without giving away too many secrets, because we love our subscribers on warchant.com, what struck you about your chat with Brock Glenn, and how do you think it all came to be, and your comments on that piece?
Yeah, great conversation with Brock last night. The main takeaway for me was, like I said before, the season really impacted him as far as what he saw from FSU. I think he really broke it down. That there wasn't a certain game that just jumped out. I think it was just the season in a whole. And two, I think he really went back to just the feeling he had about Florida State when he officially visited, the feeling that he had just with the connection he has with Norvell and Tokarts and all these guys on the staff. They're really close. And the one that struck me too was the connection with his high school to Norvell, which was a lot of guys that were on that are on his high school staff that developed him have coached under Norvell. So they know him. So a lot of their offense is similar to what Norvell runs. So that's why he says, hey, I was a perfect fit for FSU. So I think that's where a lot of that comes in. And then I guess the last thing would be that this sounds like this decision was done like 2 weeks ago. Just when I talked to him, sound like he had already made his mind up. I'll let people read just kind of all that. And then not surprisingly, Cedric Baxter is his main target. He even mentioned him and Hakeem tag teaming and going after him. So that's the guy they're locked in on. There's going to be other guys. I'll let people read the rest of it, but I think he was very thorough about just what he feels about this offense, what strikes him so much, and then two, just the way he raved about Atkins, Tokards, and also Norvell, and just just his feelings around those guys. And it's pretty easy to see when you read all that stuff of why he picked FSU, why the flip happened, and then two, just the momentum that's certainly building that I've hinted at in the last 2 or 3 weeks. These last 3 weeks where they've just absolutely demolished their opponents and stuff. I think you're really starting to see a different FSU that we have not seen in over 5 years. So I think he saw that, and I think a lot of recruits are noticing that, and so I think it's only going to keep crescendoing higher, and I think this thing's building to finish off this 2023 class.
Yeah, you talked about that a little bit, Michael, and you did so when you appeared on Wake Up Warchant on Monday night as the news was breaking that you want results for the wins. Well, here it comes, and this is the first domino to fall. But before we get to the questions, and we've got some questions from our message board subscribers of Warchant, we'll get to some questions from you in the chat here over the next 20-some-odd minutes. I wanted to ask one real quick because Tony Tokarz is not a name that we talk about a lot when we're going down the line of who's doing well from an assistant coach standpoint in recruiting for Florida State. We'll talk about Atkins, JP, Coach John Papuchis is another name that comes up. Right. Ron Dugans was lamented for a while, and then he gets Hakeem Williams, so now everything's simpatico.
Yeah.
But Tony Tokarz, what's he like on the trail?
Yeah, he's really good. I think he's more of the the grind guy behind the scenes that the recruits really like a lot, especially the ones that are offensive recruits that he deals with. I think you hear a lot of positive stuff about development. I've heard that a lot around recruits when they talk about him. As far as what he does with the offense, how he essentially runs his quarterbacks, and Brock said it clearly as he could be. He's like, I think he's one of the best quarterback developers in the country. Just I think what he does, the way he utilizes his quarterbacks, and the way that impacts the offense in general. So I think Tony does a really good job of resonating with other recruits behind the scenes because of his age. That recruits can relate more to him because of he's a pretty fairly young guy. So I think a lot of recruits can resonate with that, and I think he does a really good job of that. Now he doesn't have probably the humor that Atkins, or even maybe even to the level of fire of Norvell, but not many people do. But I think from a connection standpoint, that's where he comes in and starting to settle in and find his feet as far as a recruiter. Because people got to remember, this is his first really on the field position. So I think it took some time to kind of just find his way as far as his connection with recruits, and kind of seeing his personality with recruits. And I think that's now starting to come out. You got guys like Luke Cromahawk for 2024. Now you got Brock Glenn. So I think people are recruits are starting to settle in with the way he is, and his personality.
We're going to get rapid fire mode now with
Let's do it.
questions for Michael. So let's do it ahead of that turkey. Let's work up a good appetite for the next 24, 36 hours, and we'll go right to the boards first with Josiah Davis. What's going on, Josiah, who asked last night, are we still pursuing Keyshawn Blackstock? He seems to be a very good replacement at guard. Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, I think he's a guy that they're involved with. I wouldn't say he's a sure take. I think Chris Otto's the main guy that I've heard, but I think he's a guy that, from what I got from my FSU intel, FSU has looked at him very closely as far as I think they want to evaluate him in person, or evaluate his film in just to see, and then I would not be surprised if you see official visit set up for December. That's kind of my feeling with that. I think he recently visited South Carolina, and then I think he has Oregon and some other teams in there. But he's a guy that I think you could see an official visit set up, because there's not. I've said people, most of their action is going to be from the portal. So I think they're probably going to add like one or probably two high school at the most, left in class. And I think Keyshawn certainly would fit that mold as far as what they want. I think they've already offered. So I think really it's just about them finalizing that, the visit, and then finalizing, hey, that's a guy we're definitely going to shoot for. So I think that's a guy you can probably see official visit in the month of December at some point.
Smiley Noah wants to know, who are the EEs in the class? That's always, it's funny. You get to November and people are saying, well, who's going to be here for spring? So talk to us about that, Michael.
Yeah, yeah. Ironically, I have a story on that. I've already typed it up. I've already done it. I'm sure Ira's going to put that up, and I would say soon or a few days. And if he isn't, I'm going to post that on Sunday. If something happens where it didn't get done enough, I will say a few guys: Hakeem Williams, Lucas Simmons. Um, I want to say Keldrick Falk as well, are guys that I've heard that early enroll. I'll have all of them up there so people can read them and go through them. But those are certainly just some of the guys. But we have a full breakdown of that coming up on a story coming. I don't want to give away every guy. Why'd I do the story if I'm telling you every one of the guys? But I think that's just some of them. I think that are early enrollees. But I will cover every single one who's in there.
And then next up, we now go to Don Knoll 1, DL most likely. So just talk to us about D-line recruiting, if you don't mind.
I would say for me right now, it'd be Derek Hunter out of JUCO that they originally recruited. He went to, obviously committed to FSU quickly, and then kind of got off that, and then committed and ended up at Texas A&M. Then he hit the transfer portal, went to JUCO, and then now he's back to recruiting again. I think Mississippi State, Texas, Miami, and Florida State have all offered. FSU's the only official visit he set up. There's a strong, long connection with Odell Higgins. I think FSU sits in the best spot. The fact that they're the only official visit he's set up already in December, I think that's significant. So that would be the guy I circle. We'll see if Jordan Hall shows up this weekend. He says to be on our list. Although FSU sent me, our my FSU intel, I got a list from the FSU side of things of what guys are becoming this weekend, and I didn't spot him originally on there, so I'm continuing to check with Jordan to make sure follow through that he's going to be there. But I would say right now for me it would be Derek Hunter. That would be the guy that I think is more likely at the defensive tackle position. I know you mentioned defensive line. There's other defensive ends like Ruben Bain is certainly a guy they're heavy on and hoping to get an official visit in December for. Wilkie Denard is a guy that's committed to Auburn, but with all their flux with coaches, that might not. I'm certainly. I don't think that's. I think that's pretty shaky commitment. So there's several other guys that are in there that I'll cover, but I think those guys kind of jump out to me right now.
Garnet guy is like the Florida State offense in terms of just running right at you, because Garnet guy has like a 6-pack of questions here, Mike. We'll go to the first two, and they're portal questions. How many portal offensive linemen do you think Florida State takes? And then do you think they go after a portal tight end or a JUCO tight end?
Yeah, first one, 2 or 3, I would say maybe to 4. Portal offensive linemen because they're replacing several guys that are on there. They loaded up last year, so I would say 2 to 4 between there. Maybe I would say 3. I think for 3 for sure, but I would say that number. And then on tight end, yes, it's looking more likely that their actions will be in the tight end, will be in the portal because I haven't heard anything as far as a high school tight end. I know Deuce Robinson's the guy that they're running back to make another run at, but I think it looks more likely that it's going to be a portal tight end.
Makes sense to me. Too bad. Too bad. Our own D-Rob. Hey, the kid's got to live his own life. We don't blame him for that.
Yeah.
All right, guy. Question number 3. It seems like the coaches, like linebackers who played running back in high school, is there anyone like that the coaches are still going after?
I think the one they already have committed, Blake Nicholson. He plays a lot of running back. He does a lot of. I mean, he is run. I mean, I think he scored like on almost. It's really into the double digits as far as touchdowns. So I think Blake will be a guy that they use kind of similar to what you see with Lundy. So I think that's the main guy. I don't think there's anybody that they're like still recruiting that falls in that category, but I'd say Blake Nicholson.
Smiley Knoll asks Michael, he says, when is early signing day? And that's an easy one. December 21st. Do I have that right?
Yep.
All right.
December 21st through the 23rd.
And then there's also one other date of importance, which is when does the transfer portal for FBS teams open? And that is
December 5th.
Okay. So mark your calendars, folks. You got there have been articles on 3 about this. I saw KSR put an article at Kentucky site saying it is going to be free agency. It's going to be chaos. So there's not just signing day anymore where you're going to go, what the hell? And you got to, maybe just put up the boss button like you do for the March Madness tournament. Monday, December 5th is also going to be a really big day. Now we go to Noleman97, and Noleman97 asks, Michael, do you have a feel for how many spots are left, and what is the breakout between high school and portal transfers, hypothetically guessing, of course?
I would say portal transfers, I'm between 7 and 9 of guys they're going to add, of how many. Total spots, I was told like 21, but I think it's going to go above that with the portal stuff I mentioned there. I try not to do in the count my roster spots or scholarships because it seems to change and fluctuate as we go on or we get closer to the finish line. So I guess that's the best way I can answer that of, just 7 or 9, but also I think in the mid 20s somewhere as far as total. But that's kind of where I'm at with that right now.
Timmy is asking in the chat, and hi, Timmy, how you doing? Why y'all on so early? Timmy, your boy's got to go home see his parents. So I'm on the road to Tampa here shortly, and Aslan's doing the same thing. We hope everybody who's traveling out there has a safe and a happy Thanksgiving. Here's a question from Wesley, who says, what's up, Tom and Michael? Michael, do you think there's any chance of cracking the top 10 for this 23 class?
I don't think it gets to that point unless you can somehow pull a guy, Jordan Hall or somebody significant to that level. Now, we'll say if they measure the portal and they measure the high school together, I think you would have a top 10 class based on what I feel the type of talent that they're going to get from the portal. But from a high school standpoint, I don't think it'll be the top 10. I do think top 15 where they're at, top 12, I could see that happening. But to the 15 or 10 range, that would be tough for them this year based on the targets they're still after.
Optimus Climb asks somewhat of a related question. Talking blue chippers, Florida State currently has 7 guys that are top 300 ish on the commit list. Over under 2.5 more blue chip commits by ESD. What do you think, Michael?
I think they'll end a few, maybe one or two that fall into that category as far as top 300. But I think there's still that's mainly a guess. That's not me knowing for sure. But I think a majority of a lot of this that's left is going to be there's going to be several. Most of it's going to be portal related, but there'll be some in there that I think they're still active with that is certainly a possibility. Some of them are officially visiting this weekend. You have Isaac Smith, a four-star DB that's visiting this weekend. Edwin Joseph, who I feel really good about, is a four-star that I like a lot. So certainly Cedric Baxter is still working on, and several others. So I think there's more, but I think there's also going to be some new names that visit in the month of December that we haven't really talked about that I think you're going to see there. So I think there's still a lot to be determined, but I think a couple could happen for FSU. I'm not going to, based on I got to wait to see what happens with the visits and then go from there.
We have a contribution from Z-Chan, which Z-Chan, thank you so much. The official DMD of Warchant TV. Happy Thanksgiving in
Tom's
advance.
got gas money now. Thanks,
There
guys.
we go. That's right. I do. I could have an old Hulk Hogan H2 Hummer from 2001, and I'd still have plenty of gas money. Thank you, Z-Chan. Michael, your recruiting knowledge, contacts, and effort no bounds. I really donate on your vid, so I wanted to make up for to show respect. Thanks for all you do. See, this is just a thankful contribution, Michael. Please feel free to talk to the DMD of Warchant TV.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Me too. All right, so let's get to this question here from Warpath Noel. With the season going the way it has, do you think Hakeem Williams is solid? When he committed, it was still said it would go down to signing day. What do you think now?
I'm in the same boat as you. Warpath know when it first happened. I was kind of like, yeah, he's still a South Florida kid, and South Florida kids always seem to bring drama. But man, he has been their bell cow. He's taken that thing by the bull by the horns. I mean, he's the guy that I'll let you guys read it with Brock Glenn's Q&A, but he was the guy that was certainly on Brock. I think he's actively and heavily recruiting. He's visiting FSU on Friday, then officially visiting FSU on the last weekend before you sign early. So I think things are good. Obviously, there's still a slight, small chance that he could visit somewhere else between that time, but that's a very short time. And I don't get the sense of anywhere that he's planning on visiting anywhere other than FSU. So I feel pretty good that he's going to sign with FSU.
Got a couple of questions now about the transfer portal, which I expected to see, especially with a certain running back who
Yeah.
went into the transfer portal. But first, Garrett asks about the Aggie defensive end who entered the portal, and then also on Trey Sanders, if you don't mind remarking, at least early on, what you think about those two players.
Yeah, Donnell Harris, defensive end from Miami, that went to Texas A&M. He entered the portal. Didn't play a lot, so that's something you gotta. Not that that's a criteria for everything, but I'm sure for FSU, if they're going to add defensive end, I think they want somebody whether they know really well his skill set, or they kind of want or somebody that's been productive. I think with Donnell, I think there's certainly a connection there. I think that's a guy that maybe they kick the tires and try to check out just to see what it looks like. I think that's kind of where they'll be at with that once he hits the portal. But I can't say for sure there'll be a pursuit, but I think he's one they'll definitely look into. I've already mentioned a few guys on the boards as far as, or one guy on the board, defensive end that's already in the portal from the FCS. But I think Donnell's a guy they'll probably look around and kick around and just to check to see kind of what if that's a guy that fits what they're looking for. And then Trey Sanders, I addressed him also last night, where he's a guy that Last year if we did this, definitely he'd be a guy that we were waiting on him last year. Trey, you're a little late. They were waiting on him last year, but now I think with them being so stacked, I can't see them pursuing another running back from the portal unless somebody leaves. Like say a Trey Benson decides to leave after his incredible season. I can't see them going after another portal running back unless somebody leaves. People forget they got Keziah Holmes coming in at Penn State. I've heard a lot of good things from him about practice, and I've heard he's even faster as far as top end speed than Trey. That's kind of what I've got from my FSU intel. So he's the guy I think people should get really excited about. We haven't even seen yet. So I think right now they're so stacked at running back. You're bringing in Sam Singleton. You're still pursuing a guy like Cedric Baxter, maybe Kylan Webb, who visited last weekend that can play either safety or running back. So right now I just can't unless somebody leaves. I don't see a pursuit for Trey Sanders.
Oh, they're just so stacked in that room, Michael. Yeah, that's coming over to my department a little bit too on the team side. It's just they have so many options there that I like it for two reasons. Number one, they can pick and choose what they want
Yeah,
to do either in the portal or in the high school ranks. And number two, it gives them leverage when it comes to NIL negotiations about maybe staying on a roster or things like that. It's not like it's you only have Trey Benson, you don't have any other solutions. So when some of these players maybe approach that are currently on campus, approach the coaching staff and they say, hey, a little something for the trouble. Well, we could do that, but we're not going to go crazy because this offense generates production
yeah,
pretty much no matter who touches the ball.
yeah. And I would add too that if somebody did leave, man, they're going to get the pick of the litter. I mean, nobody has run the ball better than FSU across the nation. 200 yards last 6 games. So even if somebody left, you're going to get a talented like Trey Sanders or somebody that's the top of the line as far as running back for FSU. So people need to keep that in mind.
Back to the boards we go with Noel43, who says, "What's up, Michael? I'm glad Brock flipped. Do you see Kevin Coleman possibly leaving Jackson State to come to FSU, or is he happy at Jackson State?"
Well, I think there was some shakiness early in his career, but at the same time, he was a guy that kind of shunned them a little bit. So I'm not sure there will be a pursuit regardless because I think it also depends on whether they add, a fourth receiver in this class on high school. I think they're trying. Jalen Brown's their main target, committed to LSU. So I think they would prefer going through the high school ranks to get their fourth receiver. But at the same time, there's a lot. I mean, I listed two guys in my transfer portal update of receivers that I feel are possibilities that they go after. And I think they would go after those guys before they would go after Kevin Coleman because those are productive dudes that are going to help you immediately. And that's what they're kind of looking for in the receiver room. The last thing you want to do is add another young guy when they already have three really good, talented players coming in. And it's kind of almost a disservice to them if you just move on to somebody else that's young like Kevin Coleman that's essentially getting another high school recruit. So I don't anticipate that right now. I've heard those things were a little shaky when he first got there, but I haven't heard any buzz with Kevin Coleman.
We now go to a question from Go Noles. And Go Noles says, I would be curious how an internal FSU ranking order would compare to FSU fans. I'll extend that out to maybe the ranking system for On3. Any idea who would be the highest on the internal FSU list? So, in short, the coaches, if they were ranking and speaking in confidence about who they really like in this class, is there somebody, Michael, that maybe wouldn't be a four, borderline five-star player that they think, man, we've got ourselves a steal here?
Yeah, I certainly I think they love them all, but I think there's a few guys in there. I think Quindarius Jones, a guy that's officially visiting this weekend, they were all, through the moon, all over the moon on that kid. I mean, they love him. I think Jabril Rawls, who's another guy that's visiting this weekend that's committed to FSU, they feel like they got to steal with that guy. I think even guy like Jaden Jones, who they really hit up early, JUCO defensive end. That we talk about Keldrick Falk and we talk about Lamont Green Jr. and certainly we should because those are phenomenal ends. But I think I think Jaden is kind of the off the radar guy that I think fans are probably not as excited about. But I think the FSU staff is just elated with that kid and what he can do. I would have said Vondravius Jacobs, but now he's blown up to a 4-star, so I can't really put him in that category. So I would say those are kind of the main guys off the top of my head.
For the nearly 475 of you that are watching us right now on Warchant TV, as it gets a little dark in my room, please do us a favor and hit the thumbs up underneath this video. We appreciate you stopping by Warchant TV. We've got you covered from here all the way through the end of the Florida game on Friday, and we are so happy to do it at warchant.com. So thank you for your support, and a happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Tyler Blevins asks, Michael, is FSU looking to add a portal defensive end? We talked about specifically a prospect from Texas A&M, but they've hit it out of the park the last
Hmm.
couple of years in the portal with what they've done on the edge. What say you, generally speaking, about defensive end?
Yeah, I think it's almost a guarantee that they get a defensive end. I mean, if there was a most likely guy to leave, I think it would be Jared Verse for this year for a player on the team. I think they're going to add another guy. They might add two. I wouldn't surprise me if they added two. Truman Jones is one I mentioned, FCS. I want to say he's from Harvard. 26 and a half tackles for loss, 14 sacks in his career. FSU loves that FCS, so they could have somebody like that. I know there's mutual interest there, so I think a visit down the line is certainly expected. FCS, for those that don't know, they just started this week and hitting the portal where you can hit it. So I think that's a guy. There's certainly other guys I have my eye on. One rhymes with starving. Yeah, that could enter the portal.
Wow.
So I think he's a guy. There's several guys, but that's why I don't. That's why I told people when I did the portals, like, look, I'm not going to talk about guys that aren't in there yet, but there are certainly names that they know that they feel like is going to be in the portal that FSU feels like, hey, they're the team to beat.
That would be a live video all into itself if that happens, Michael. We'll keep tabs on what you just hinted at. Another
Yeah.
Michael, thank you very much for the contribution, Mr. Davis. Any word on Brenton Cox from Florida?
Guy's been kicked out of two schools essentially, so I don't think that's going to fit kind of what the culture of FSU. So I can't see that happening. So no, I don't see that happening. By the way, all the people that have comments on YouTube, don't worry. When I get done with my question on the PRB, I'm going to come in there and do y'all guys a surprise, and I'm going to answer a lot of your questions in there. Jump into YouTube and help you guys out. But with Cox, I don't think that's going to happen.
All right, here's one question that's very, very important, and I'll pull it back up in just a second. It is from our pal Smiley Knoll. And Michael, because it's just with a short week, it's crazy how fast these things happen.
Yeah,
Are you going to the game on Friday? And what is your score prediction, Michael?
I will be there at the game. Hopefully that's good. Hopefully, I don't know. Most of the time I go, it's pretty good. My score prediction, and I'm not like Tom and Gene and Corey and all these dream team guys we have on our team staff. I would say for me, I'm going to pick 31-17 FSU.
Well, if that's the case, then there will be keg stands and beer funnels and all kinds of stuff at the corner pocket on a
I
Saturday.
Yeah, and my reason behind that is just I see a different type of FSU that's locked in. I think Florida's enough where you have to give enough respect of AR has explosive making ability, but also their defense has been kind of questionable as far as how you can attack them. So, and I think this FSU team is just clicking, and I think they know the importance of this game, and I just think they're gonna find a way and win this game.
All right. Michael, one final question from Tony F on the boards there is Brock and EE. I believe you've answered this before, but go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, he is. Actually, that was the one question I forgot to ask Brock, so I texted him after our interview, and he said, "Yes, I'll be there in January." So yes, Brock is a. I think Brock is a early enrollee, and that's what most quarterbacks are, to be honest. I mean, most quarterbacks are early enrollees. It's very rare you find one in high school that isn't. So yes, Brock will be an early enrollee.
All right, I'll wedge one more in here because I just like the phrasing. I did not see a lot of info on Jaden Jones. Can you bless us, Michael? Can you bless the people with a scouting report on him? Also, from what I've seen, Rawls is a 4-star and 3-star clothing. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think the second part, yes, I would agree with Rawls is probably a low 4-star for me. I think he's been the most productive defensive back out of any guy that they have that's committed. I think with Jaden Jones, I think the main thing is like they actually went over there. There was a JUCO wide receiver they were recruiting, and Jaden was on the same team, and they saw Jaden an explosive burst off the, I mean, very fast off the edge. That's the thing he does well. He gets off the line, gets off his blocks quick. So that's what jumped out to them, to the staff, of what they loved. I think I think with his game, obviously he's 240, so you want to see more strength, and he finishes very well, but you want to see him. I think technique wise, I think there's some stuff that they can really take his game to another level, as far as I think they can improve, some things with the hand placement, how he rips, how he uses his body, laying, is because he's 6 foot, 4 or 5, so he has certainly a lot of link to him. But I think that burst off the edge, I think that's what jumped out to FSU, and why he's a guy that I think they're fairly excited about.
Folks, just I hope everybody understands what happened in the last 25 minutes or so after we got out of the way, the pleasantries for today's show. Michael just went like 94 different directions in 25 minutes with answers on everything that you asked. That is not easy to do. So as you're listing things that you're thankful for over the next 24 to 36 hours, be thankful for this guy, the senior recruiting analyst at warchant.com. He is Michael Langston. And we thank you all so much for being here on Warchant's live recruiting chat, a little pop-up edition on a Wednesday
Yep.
morning. Before we get going, Michael, let's promo what's coming on the recruiting side of the operation for the next few days. It's a huge, huge opportunity for Florida State to fortify a position in the state on Friday night. But go ahead and talk about what you're going to be doing and what you're looking for the next few days.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I think I just got the full list of what FSU's expecting, so I'll certainly put that on the site after I go through all the questions that I just covered. I'll write them down for everyone on the board. But I'm gonna have that, then I'm gonna have a preview coming up, of recruiting preview, of kind of 3 things to watch, of what I'm looking for as far as this weekend, what things I'm kind of circling as far as what you want to see. Obviously, a win would be massive, because I think that changes everything as far as dynamics. You're now, it's a state championship. You get state rings, I would assume, if you win. So it just changed the dynamics of going into that off season and going into your bowl prep. You're going to know that you're the best team, or yeah, one of the best teams in the state of Florida. Probably, I know UCF's always likes to jump in there, but I would say if you beat Florida, I think you're probably the best team in Florida. So I think there's a lot that comes with, the positivity and the recruiting boom of that game. So that's certainly, I have an article on that coming up, as well, on what it means. And so that's what I have coming up, preview, and then your recruiting boom from a win this weekend. So thanks to everyone that came in here. I know it's early. I don't usually get up too early, but I don't mind for you guys. And
Yeah.
certainly I appreciate Tom, taking out of his schedule to before he heads to Tampa to do this. But that's kind of what I have planned. Stuff on the board, and then a few previews coming up.
He knocked it out the park, folks. He went Marshall McDougal, 6 for 6 with, or 7 for 7 with 6 home runs today on Warchant TV. We are thankful for Michael Langston. We're thankful for all of you who have taken part in the chat today, also on the boards. If we didn't get to your question, we will next time, but we appreciate your feedback. And before you exit this video, make sure to give us a like. At 1 o'clock, just under 90 minutes from now, there'll be a brand new Jeff Cameron show. It's the magic of technology. I'll be on the road, but it's a brand new edition from start to finish of the JCS coming up right here on Warchant TV at 1 o'clock. And then on Friday, folks, 4:30 p.m., pregame show live from Hotel Indigo. It is going to be an electric atmosphere, not just for the recruits on campus, but also for all of you who are making the journey after Thanksgiving to Tallahassee. So stay tuned to Warchant TV. For Michael Langston, who we thank for his time this morning. For Z-Chan, thank you very much, Mr. DMD of Warchant TV. And for Michael, who also contributed, thank you, Michael, and everybody else who are in the live chats and on the boards. We wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Michael, happy Thanksgiving to you.
Thank you, buddy, and a happy Thanksgiving to everyone, our incredible staff. Jeff, Tom, Austin Cox, Aslan, who does an incredible job with video. The 2 legends we have in Corey and Ira, Gene, everyone. I'm very, people ask what you're thankful for. I'm thankful for, obviously, I get to do what I love, but also just be around a lot of great guys that are, I think it's the dream team. It's the best in the business. So you got a chance, guys, and there's features coming up on every feature we do. Please hit the like button, and happy Thanksgiving to all you that tuned in.
Season's only ramping up when it comes to recruiting. We'll be right back here on Warchant TV sooner than you know it. We'll talk to you all next time right here. Happy Thanksgiving and be safe out there.